Good morning. I've got two hands here. I'm going to be calling it a two bet pre-flop, but this time I am going to be in the big blind. So, hand number one, I get Queen Nine of Clubs. It folds around to the small blind, who raises it to five big blinds. And it's up to me to decide if I'm going to call or not. So, Queen Nine is kind of on a threshold. Maybe you call, maybe you don't. It's probably, Evie's going to be close one way or the other. Let's look at this villain. He's 20 VPIP with 20. Preflop raises 4. Uh, right now we have 92 hands on him. It looks like he's not overly aggressive. Yet when you look at the VPIP, he does seem to be playing more in cutoff button and small blind. Now again, 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 3 out of 10. Early position in MPs, less. He's playing fewer hands. Pre-flop raises, he's really only come in with a raise in the early position twice, cut off once, and small blind once. So I think with his range, he's probably going to be somewhat of a tighter range, so a little bit more honest, you can say, with his raising range here. How wide should we give his raising range? Small blind versus big blind is kind of interesting, and it's hard to pick out. I do think that a lot of people will raise pocket pairs. A lot of people will raise with their aces. So ace 10 suited. Maybe they don't. Maybe it's just ace jack or better. So suited and an offsuit. King queen. Suited or an offsuit. Maybe these suited connectors. That's at 8.6%. You can see his attempt to steal. He's had two attempts or two opportunities and has failed to do that. So I'm going to say he's not overly aggressive. I think his pre-flop raise this may be a little bit too wide actually. With pre-flop raise of 4%, maybe he's not doing it with all these. Maybe it is more something like this at 4%. But with blind versus blind, I'm going to say something like that. I think people tend to be a little bit more liberal with their raises pre-flop. I'm going to add in. I'm not going to add in suited connectors because I'm not sure how often people play those. So we're going to start here, 7% raising range. We've got Queen Nine of Clubs. I think it's perfectly fine just to fold these. We're at 31% equity against that range. Our range is going to hit much more frequently than us. And when it does, we're going to have kicker problems if we catch that queen. So I did call. It's the purpose of this hand, which, again, not sure if I really like the call or not. Flop comes ace high, jack of diamonds, five of clubs. And with this board, I think if he bets, we can safely fold. I think there's no point in trying to chase anything. Yeah, we've got a backdoor flush draw. We have backdoor straight draw. But against this player, we don't know how he plays on the turn or river. He's never really gotten there with initiative. He's c-bet 100%. His fold to c-bet's 25%. So he's probably going to be pretty honest. If he bets here, he likely has an ace. Not even sure if he'd bet with the jack. So when he bets, I'm going to say he's got top pair or better. We could set up a pocket pair below top pair. May be able to do all of those. Kings and queens. Or we can just say, you know what? I don't think he'd bet those. I think a lot of people will just check those. They're afraid of the ace. So he's going to bet top pair plus. Probably won't do the gut shot or two card backdoor flush. So at 57%, we are behind. We are hoping for a miracle. I think we just fold, move on to the next hand. I didn't do that. I called, which in my mind might have been I'm going to call because I have backdoor potential. And the idea that if he checks, I can take it away from him with a bet. I can rep the ace. But in reality, against a player like this, where he doesn't really raise a whole lot, I'm going to give him credit for that ace. King of clubs came on the turn, so that's actually a decent card for me. It improves my equity because it now gives me flush draw and a gut shot draw by catching the 10. And I think if a 10 gets there, I think at a minimum we're gonna be chopping it. So this is going to be a play with that hand. If he checks, I'm just going to check behind. I'm not going to try to take advantage of it because he could easily have ace king and could be going for a check raise, or he could have trips and be looking for a check raise. So like think about it. If I bet 10 and he comes in with a check raise of 50 or even all in, I really can't call that. So you know you hate to turn this hand into a bluff and then have to fold it. So when we have equity, he bets 10. Now with this, we can kind of estimate what are we getting. So Poker Tracker says we need 25%. That looks about right. We have to call 10 to win 30. So we have to call 10 to win 30. So we need 33% equity. We're getting 3-to-1 odds. Or 10. Is that right? No. Yeah, 33%. Risk over risk reward, which would be 40. That gives us 25% equity. We need 25% equity to call. Do we have that? So I think with his bet, he's going to bet top pair, 2-pair set. I think he's betting all of those. I think he has a small chance that he has a flush draw at 3%. Against all of that, I'm at 23%. So really, I am not getting the odds because all I'm looking for is the flush, and all I'm looking for is the straight, the 10. And you've got to remember that if an ace of clubs comes or if a jack of clubs come, I could very well still lose because he could have ace jack. He could have, pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket jacks, all of those, pairing the board. Even though I hit my hand, we'll still lose. So I'm not getting the odds. We should just fold. I didn't. I actually raised, which is completely crazy because if we think about what hands are going to call here, I think I mean, really, there's no straight out there. So I think top pair probably folds. Maybe. I mean, ace queen. He could call once to hope to get to catch that 10. So maybe he folds. I think 2-pair calls. Ace king, ace jack calls. I think sets call. The flush draw is that ace jack of clubs. He's gonna call because he already has 2 pairs. So I'm risking 20. So break even. I'm risking. Let's see here. I'm actually risking 30. Let's see here. 30 divided. Let's just clear this out. 30 divided by 30 plus 30, 60. 50%. I need him to fold 50% to break even. I don't think he's folding 50%. I think he's calling. So I think this is just a overly aggressive raise. I don't like this at all. He calls. I missed. 5 of spades is down there. At this point, I'm going to be losing. He checks. If I have a shot to win this hand, I'm going to have to bet. But if I bet what hands are going to call, I think if his full house is going to call, I think his good 2 pairs are going to call. So that good 2 pair is ace king, ace jack. I don't think he's folding this hand, so I think I should just check behind. I didn't. I bet. I basically put them all in, and that's the other thing you got to see. If he only has less than 41 big blinds there, He's not folding it two pair. So I bet he calls, and I know I'm gonna lose. He has ace jack of clubs. So we have this in his range, ace jack of clubs, ace jack suited. He had the two pair. He calls. He has that club draw. So my club draw wasn't even good. This was just overly aggressive. I just bled money on this hand. Um, I mean, right from the start, I don't necessarily mind the pre-flop call. I mean, you can call it, and if you think about if it comes 9 or 10 high, I could easily bet. He could check. I bet I could win the pot on those. Any of the low hands. Uh, EV is probably close to zero for that call or fold, but on the flop, definitely just fold. By calling on that flop, it cost me even more money. So go back. I had only invested in five big blinds. Uh, 5 big blinds here. Um, that's all I had invested. And then this call, I invested five more. I had five invested. This call, five more call, has now cost me, 70 more big blinds. So this was a bad call. But we had him in his range, so I'm going to say this hand rating exercise was a success. All right, so going to close this out and get hand number 2 ready. Hand number 2 is ace king in the big blind. We've got villain 5. He limps. He's actually 21 hands. He's at 15-5 with a 3-bet of 9. This guy's going to be pretty weak. Probably pocket pairs. I'm seeing a lot of people limp with pocket pairs there. Maybe something like that. That's 8%. That may actually be too much. He may only be limping with pocket pairs there. Not going to worry too much about him because we get a raise from the cutoff. This cutoff raise is kind of interesting because this player, I have 21 hands on him. I've got more hands since then. This opponent is 49-36. And I believe at this time, this opponent is very, very crazy. You can see I've got him listed as a nut job. He's loose aggressive, basically bets whenever possible. He's toned that down in current play. This happened back in last year, so March of last year. He was definitely very aggressive. So this raise could represent a lot of things. And when we look at his 3-betting range, you can see that it's actually pretty wide. Suited connectors down to 7-6. King queen offsuit, ace queen offsuit. Is called 2 bets from blind range. I mean, he's calling 7-4 offsuit, 7-6 offsuit. He's got a very wide range. So at this time, we're going to have to consider how wide of range is he actually going to be. I think we're probably going to do something not quite 46. I think we're going to probably start here. He's in the cutoff. We're going to give him all of the King X suited hands because I don't think we have information on him, like what his 2 bets are. His 3 bets, not so much of these offsuits. But I do know he's going to play these suited connectors. So we're going to have those and the suited one-gappers, all of the pocket pairs, maybe all of these aces, offsuit aces, that's 35%. That could be a little bit too much, but he is in position. So let's do that. Let's add all of those and take these out. I mean, he is crazy. I mean, when it comes down to betting and raising, he's overly aggressive, and he was overly aggressive at this time. So we're going to give him that range. I have ace of hearts and king of diamonds, and when it's on me, I should just go ahead and raise. So folds to me, I should just go ahead and 3-bet. I should 3-bet to like 17, 18 big blinds. And actually, I could probably raise even more because I think he's going to call. His fold to 3-bet 78%. He's got So 78%, he's going to fold a lot. He's still calling, over 20% of the time. If I 3-bet, I think he's going to get rid of a lot of these offsuit hands, a lot of the offsuit aces. He's going to probably continue with the offsuit jacks, queens, and kings. Probably give up like the suited kings and keep anything that's going to be related to a straight draw. So I think I should have just raised here. That's going to force him out. And if he folds, hey, so be it. That's a quick, 6 big blinds right there that I just picked up. And I think that's what I should have done. I think my mindset may have been he's so wide, I'm just going to call here and hope like an ace or a king flops and then plan to get it in, or at least plan to call down because now I have top pair, top kicker, and I know he's going to be super aggressive. I'm going to guess that's probably my thinking. I don't like that thinking right now. I think it's good in certain situations, but I think we needed to be aggressive. We need to put him to a test. If he comes over the top, yeah, we could easily call with ace king because he's going to be doing that with the wide range. So his 4-bet plus range includes pocket pairs, probably all pocket pairs. I have it down to 4s, so he's going to be 4s or better. He's got ace queen offsuit. He has 10-8 offsuit as his 4-bet range. I think 10-8 was probably something that was like he was making a play at someone and got caught. But yeah, I much prefer a raise. So against this range, you can see it that I'm favored. Flop comes out actually pretty good for me. Ace of clubs, queen of clubs, 8 of diamonds. I hit my top pair. It's kind of what I was hoping to do. And my plan is to check call, let him bet. I mean, I've got top pair, top kicker. He c-bets a flop 82%, c-bets 71%, and then c-bets river 50%. So I think as he c-bets, his hand does tighten up. He's going to be very liberal with the c-bet on the flop, and then he'll c-bet the turn if he has a draw or has a pair, and then on the river, he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna c-bet bluff a whole lot. So I check and he bets 4 big blinds. Now that's kind of interesting size because the pot's 11.5. Half pot bet would have been 5.75, so just under 6 big blinds, and he only bet 4. And I think that's kind of telling. I should have probably paid attention to that. And once he did that, I probably should have raised to better define my hand because I think with that size, he either hit a big set or he's on that flush draw. He's on some sort of draw. Maybe it could even be like a 9-10 or Jack 10 where he's looking for a gut shot. So, and that's it. I kind of think that 2 pair would also maybe bet that size, try to suck you in. Top pair, I don't think so. I think with top pair, he's not gonna still play that like that. So I'm gonna take that out. Pocket pair below top pair, I don't think he's gonna really. So top pair, pocket pair below top pair kings. I think he's still gonna bet. I think he's gonna bet more reasonably with that. Middle pair, same thing. I think all of those were going to be big bets. Flush draw, all of the kings. Would he bet that small? Maybe. Open ended straight draw, gut shot. 2-card backdoor flush draw. I think he's still betting those. Flush draw pair. Let's see those. Yeah. And that's at that sizing. If his sizing is informative. So against that, we're ahead at 61, 62%. I think we're ahead. Now, I can't remember if his sizing was revealing back in 2019, but we're gonna assume that sizing could be informative. So we're gonna go with that. I'm still ahead. I think the call is okay, but if we raise, I think we better define the hand because I think if we raise, I think sets I think his entire range is probably still going to call. But then if we bet half pot on the turn, I think he's going to come over the top with the sets and two pairs. He's going to try to take it down. Or even if I raise, he may shove with those hands. And when we look at the hands that he's going to shove with, um, we're dealing with 20%. He's solid, and 20% he's solid. And then you look at the rest of his hands. So he's got 25% of his range has that flush draw, or some sort of draw. I think if he shoves, I think we could possibly get away from the hand. Yeah, maybe he's bluffing, but against those hands, is it worth the risk? Um, we've got 150 big blinds. King of clubs came. I think this is kind of a bad card. Yeah, it gives us two pair, but it completes that flush draw, and I think he has that flush in his range. So we just check. Again, the plan was going to be to check call. Now he bet pot, which is he went from a small bet now to a big bet, and I think now he's looking to play for stacks. So against the range, we're at 56%, but now we're dealing with a pot size bet here. So what is he going to do with the pot size bet? I think he's going to make that pot size bet with the straight flush and with the flush draw. With the straight, if he has a jack 10, would he bet that size? I think so. I don't think he's going to bet that size with the set or two pair. I think he's going to be afraid. And even maybe with the straight. So let's do this. Let's assign 50% weight to the straight and say 50% of the time he'll bet this size with the straight, and the rest he won't. He'll go lower. So set two pair top pair, he's all going lower. He could still bet with a nut flush draw, but is he gonna bet pot size bet? Yeah. So king jack offsuit, probably not, but jack 10 offsuit with a straight and the club draw, I think he'll do that. So we'll take out the king jack offsuit. Second nut flush draw, no, I don't think he's betting like that. Third nut flush draw, yeah, he's loose and nutty, and he could do it with a bunch of draws. But I think with this board, I've already demonstrated I called, so we'll be conservative. I hate to fold. We got two pair, but I kind of think against that range, with how he's been playing it, we have to give it up. We have to give it up. I didn't. I called. Turn was a 9 of hearts. It's not going to change many hands, and you can see that all of his hands, he's got at worst he's got a straight. So 59 big blinds. I check. He pushes all in. This is kind of I come to expect this. I think he would do this with probably two pair or better. But as we work through his range, he went small, which I think was more indicative of a draw or a big hand. All right, so polarized, and then all of a sudden he scaled up big time. So I'm going to be expecting to see at a minimum straight, probably a flush. He wants to play for stacks. We fold two pair. Yeah, it sucks folding two pair, but there's a straight and a flush potential on the board. We just have to fold. I didn't do that. I called, and he shows eights. So he showed a set of eights, which we didn't have. So where did we go wrong with this? Well, let's see here. River. I think we got rid of the sets right here on the turn, because we thought sets now probably wouldn't bet that big. And if we also assumed two pair wouldn't bet that big, we thought he'd do more reasonable, but maybe sets and two pairs, he would size up that size. So if he does that, then let's go with the straights and say, let's get rid of this filter and say that he'll bet that size with all of his straights. He'll do it with two pair plus. Top pair, Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he is kind of crazy. He'll do it with his nut flush, maybe even the second nut flush. Um, he's just, maybe in his mind by calling, I'm just being passive. I'm passive. I'm weak. Um, so maybe he has that. Now against that, I'm at 30%, but still he's got a lot of hands that still beat me. So set straights flushes. Um, and then the river comes a nine of hearts, and then he bets big time again. Um, I beat 23% of his two pair range, and then sets or better are going to be much higher. So again, we're going to be behind, and with his bet sizing, he basically pushed me all in. So I'm risking, 126.20 to win. Yeah, I need 40% equity. That's what I need. Um, I don't have that. I don't have that. So with 40% equity, this should be a fold. I mean, even when we include it in his sets and two pairs. I think the only time we can get to this call is if we change some of our assumptions. So um, let's go back to here. If we think he's going to bet this size with all of his pair hands, all of his draws, so basically no made hand, he's going to get give up on those. I mean, that's 89% of his range. I think that's fine. We're going to be ahead at 76. And then let's see, King of Clubs hits, and then at this point, once he sizes up, I think he's looking to generate folds. Um, so maybe we add top pair there. So if he has top pair hands plus, now we're at 67. We're still ahead, and then the nine of hearts. Now we start setting up, a different situation, because if we think he'd bet it again with the top pair hand, then we could call. But again, why would he do that with top pair when there's a straight and a flush on the board, and all of his top pairs, he's gonna have kicker problems. Um, so I just I don't think it makes sense. I think the turn is where we kind of went off. I think we had it. It was small. That small bet, he was polarized, and then once he sized up, I think we lose a lot of that polarization. So I didn't quite get this hand. He had pocket eights, but I think we screwed up. So going back to the start of the hand, if we three bet, he calls. He definitely calls. We bet again, uh, and I think he probably calls again. Question is, if we bet and he raises, what do we do? Because I think if we raise, I think we're stuck getting called, because we have top pair, top kicker, and this is a player that would raise with a lot of the flush draws, maybe even in straight draws. So if he has 9, 10, or 10 jack of clubs, he's making that raise. Um, so I think, if we raised, we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose a big part. So uh, we three bet. He's gonna four bet a percentage, which if he four bets, we're gonna race. So uh, his four betting range was pocket pairs. Ooh, four betting range. Well, he called three bets in position: sevens, ace king, ace 10, 6 5. Um, I can't remember what he was doing at this point. He may four bet down to sevens, maybe something like that. And then his calling range, maybe something like that. And then the flop comes, and we bet. And I think he raises with his flush draws, open-ended straight draws. Maybe not the gut shots. We're going to get rid of all those combos. I don't think he raises with a weak pair. I don't think he's that crazy with the ace out there, but he probably raises his top pair, two pair, and so forth. So against that raising range, we're still at 72%. I think we're going to get it in, and we'll see what he has at that point. All right. So one hand, we got the range the same. We didn't quite get the range. We excluded. We thought he wouldn't bet that big, but now we know. So look for 2 more hands that'll get posted tomorrow.